Greetings. This video is on writing a persuasive conclusion for a Year 9 student at a C level. Now, we've already had several videos on writing an introduction and writing a paragraph, and of course these go from level C to B to A. So, if you haven't written a conclusion before, this is a really great place to start. Now, the first thing you need to remember when writing a conclusion is there are 4 steps that need to go into the structure. And if you've seen any of the other videos, you'll know that showing the evidence of structure is the requirement for getting a C. So as long as we can show evidence that we have done each of these 4 things, then we can make sure that we're meeting the standard of a C and we don't have to worry about failing. So, let's look at these 4 steps. We start by making a general statement about your topic, which is relevant to all paragraphs. We then summarize each of the paragraphs in 1 sentence each. We bring all of these examples together and show how they are related, and then we make a final resolving statement in the form of a recommendation or closing remark. Well, it might sound a little bit complicated, but it's actually a lot easier than you think to tick off all of these things. And like I said, as long as we've got evidence of them, we're not so worried about the quality of the writing at this stage. We're just making sure that we meet that structure so that we can get that C level. So, make a general statement about your topic. Now, I should mention the fact that so far we've been writing about the topic chewing gum should be banned. So, I'm going to make a really basic summing up statement that brings in that topic and reminds people that this is what I've been talking about. As we have discussed, or actually I'm going to change that slightly, I'm going to say as we have shown in the above discussion, chewing gum should be banned. Full stop. I'll take the bold off of that so that we can see what's going on. But here we have it, as we have shown in the above discussion, chewing gum should be banned. So, if we've written something along that lines, we've hit the first mark of structure, which means that we've reinforced this point. We couldn't say anything too specific about health or anything like that, because that would only apply to 1 paragraph, whereas this applies to all of them, because they're all about how chewing gum should be banned. We go to the next stage, which is summarising each of the paragraphs in 1 sentence. Now, we talked in our previous video about what the topic was for the first paragraph, which was about health, but we haven't actually necessarily mentioned what the other ones were. I think we said in the introduction it was health, social habits, and the environment. So even though we haven't got the other paragraphs to look at, I'm just going to throw this together to show how it should look. But the idea is that you're going to sum up everything you talked about in your opening paragraphs in 1 sentence each. So my first sentence is going to be about my first paragraph, which was about health. So I'm going to say, we have discussed the way that, whoops, a few mistakes here, chewing gum has negatively impacted our health. Full stop. So that's 1 sentence that sums up that entire paragraph. It's not particularly specific, but that's okay, because at least it's done it. It's shown the evidence of what we have to do. I'll just make sure I change the colour of this so that I make sure I get it right. There we are. So we've discussed the way that chewing gum has negatively impacted health. We have also shown how chewing gum can have an effect on social habits. Full stop. So again, I've just essentially, I put the wrong effect in there, whoops. I've just summed up really briefly that we talked about social habits, okay? And I might say something like finally, and this isn't prescriptive writing, but this is just an example. I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. It doesn't really matter too much at the C level. So finally, we have shown that chewing gum also has negative impacts on our environment. Okay, now I've already said negative impacts earlier on. I would worry about that if I was writing a B or an A piece, but in this stage I'm just looking to meet that structure. So that's fine. I've written 1 paragraph about each of my I've written 1 sentence about each of my paragraphs. I had 3 paragraphs, and so I have 3 sentences. Now once I'm at this stage, I now have to bring it all together. Okay, and this is, I suppose, the leading out of your essay. So it's important to make sure you're clear, because these are the last words that the person that's reading your essay is going to remember. So I'm going to say, all of this evidence demonstrates the fact that chewing gum should be banned. Okay? Really simple sentence. Once again, I know I'm repeating myself. I said chewing gum should be banned up above, but again, all I had to do was show that these three things are all related to one singular thing, which is the fact that chewing gum should be banned. And of course, I'd add a bit of variety if I was writing at a slightly higher level. And last but not least, it's usually a good idea to make a final resolving statement, and it's usually in the form of a recommendation or closing remark. I suppose the key to think about is, what do you want people to actually do now that they have read your piece? Okay, so we might say something, for the good of our society, okay, we should look to ban chewing gum as soon as possible. Okay, and again, it's just a recommendation. I could have alternatively said something like, if we want to see the quality of our health, environment and social habits improve, then we should ban chewing gum, or something like that. It doesn't really matter. But if I grab all of these pieces like I have in previous videos and I throw them all together, so 1, 2, 3, 4, then I have my C-level conclusion, and it's structured and it follows those 4 steps. I'll now move those into just the regular font, and we'll just read out the whole thing together, which says, as we have shown in the above discussion, chewing gum should be banned. We have discussed the way that chewing gum has negatively impacted our health. We have also shown how chewing gum can have an effect on social habits. And finally, we've shown that chewing, there's supposed to be a gum in here, I apologise for that, that chewing gum also has negative impacts on our environment. All of this evidence demonstrates the fact, and again, I'm putting a couple of typos in today, all of this evidence demonstrates the fact that chewing gum should be banned. For the good of our society, we should look to ban chewing gum as soon as possible. Alright, wonderful, clear, effective, structured conclusion for the C level.